And the nutrient deficiency that comes with that, I think people don't understand that, or they underestimate the value of the nutrients that come with the fruits and the vegetables and the protein, all of the macronutrients to help your hormones be balanced, and your moods and your sleep. It affects everything. I think, nutrition is number one. Like, yes, we need exercise and we need the sleep and we need the stress management, but nutrition, if you don't have nutrition anchoring all of that, like, it's like you're spinning your wheels.
Welcome back to Hear Me Out with Belinda. Today, I'd like to introduce you to Vicki from Inspired Fitness and Health. Welcome to the studio, Vicki.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Happy to be here.
Good. So tell me a little bit about what does the name mean? What was the journey to get there? What do you do?
Okay, so the journey was I worked in corporate business for 10 years and then had my children. And my husband and I both traveled for work, so that really wasn't going to work very well anymore. And I have always exercised and always been passionate about getting into the gym and played sports growing up. And so I thought, now what can I do? I think I waited till my kids were about 5 and 6 years old, and thought, oh, I love fitness, so why not, go down this journey? So, I have a neat, interesting experience about my business name. So, Inspired Fitness and Health. One of my friends in Nanaimo, her business was Inspired Health and Coaching. So I loved the word inspired. So I just had said to her, do you mind if I use that in my business? And Inspired Fitness, because fitness was the first thing that I gravitated towards, and health, I knew at some point nutrition would come into play there, and ourselves as a whole, like women and men, children, and everything as a whole person. So that's how the name came to be.
Nice. And so then you trained as a personal trainer?
Personal training and a fitness instructor is my certifications that I had started with, and just kind of grew to a whole bunch of other avenues from there. Yeah.
So you incorporate it together. So it's more of a holistic approach when you're working with someone. So you incorporate the exercise, and then you just said nutrition as well, which is the health.
That's right. Yeah.
Side.
Nutrition and whole health too. There's mindset work, there's psychology behind it, all that, as a whole person, right?
As a whole person. So, why would I come and see you, I guess? Like, what would I be struggling with to reach out to you?
Well, it seems like most women either come for fitness or nutrition. So weight loss is a primary driver for a lot of women. So they come for that, I would say probably 80 to 90% of the time, thinking that fitness is going to tackle that for one, and a nutrition program. But then they'll see as a whole, it stems from how you feel about yourself, your past, what your habits are that got you to the place that you're in. So we work again on that whole person. And they find that fitness, as an example, one of my clients was coming for a year and thought, well, why haven't I lost any weight? Well, it's nutrition that changes the size of your body. Fitness is more changing the shape of your body, but the nutrition is more about the size of your body. So I'd say weight loss is the primary driver for most women.
Right.
Although they'll say, I want to get fitter and healthier as well.
Yeah. And do you feel like it's more middle-aged women coming to see? It is.
Yeah.
It's more middle-aged women.
I found as I sort of seem to attract the women of my age and older as I've gone along. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense, because that's like you're experiencing the same thing almost.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so talking a little bit about the health and nutrition side, do you give them meal plans or anything? Did you study nutrition or anything? Or?
Yeah, so I started about 12 years ago with Dr. Sears, his name was. So I followed him with my children. So Dr. Sears, like there's the baby book and attachment parenting. So then I saw that he was offering lifestyle, exercise, attitude, nutrition certifications for more so kids. So I started with kids and going into schools and teaching children how to eat well And that was more based on stoplight eating, so red light foods, yellow light foods, green light foods. And then I went into precision nutrition, so sports nutrition. So got certified through them. So that as well. So I got some designations with master health coaching through them. And then there's been a few others along the way, but about 2 years ago, I found metabolic balance. So I just find that's a very lovely holistic program for men and for women, so adults. And it is based on Dr. Funfack out of Germany. He did this like 25 years ago for his cardiology practice, just to help people with metabolic syndrome. So high blood pressure, diabetes, high blood sugar, those kinds of things. So I've gone into that and I love that. Like that's the only thing that I coach now.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So you've transitioned out of the fitness as well?
Well, I'm still doing the fitness as well, but the nutrition part, I used to do that with precision nutrition. So that was based more on calories in, calories out. So it's a much bigger picture than that, especially as we age. So metabolic balance.
And you said something about the kids, you did the red and orange.
Yeah.
What is that?
So it is, it's called stoplight eating. So it's just a wonderful way to engage children when they're younger. So I would go into schools and show a little presentation, and then we would make a stoplight out of cardboard paper. So like stock paper. So like make a black and then yellow, green, red circles on there. And then basically hold up foods. I'd bring foods in and we'd have pictures and show them pictures and sort of help them distinguish what was a red light food. So that's kind of a not every day. So the kind of a special occasion type food. And then yellow light foods would be everyday foods, but once in a while, like not throughout the whole day. And then green light foods are more your fruits and vegetables, like so you can have as much as you want of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they would also get like stickers to go home. So red, yellow, and green stickers so they could go into their pantry and, help their parents sort of put stickers on everything. Yeah.
So you had did that when your kids were little, though, right? So I think you've been teaching your kids healthy eating habits, probably across their life.
Yeah.
So you may not have that same feeling of almost anger that I have against, I don't know, just big food, I guess, right? Because we all know that cereal is not healthy, and yet they place it right there in all the stores because we know that it's like very profitable. So they place it right there at eye level so kids can see it, bright colors. And then even in Canada we still have lots of foods with BHT in and stuff, which is, as we know, it's banned in other countries, but it's okay for Canadian kids. Well, no, it's not okay, for Canadian kids. It's not healthy for them at all. And so what would you like to change? Like just thinking out there on food and stuff, like what do you see after following different people and research and stuff? Like, what would you like to see on a person's plate every day or in school lunchrooms? Because I still have a high school kid and it kills me to see what they offer within their cafeterias. Yeah.
That's a big question. There's a lot of answers to that. So I think that when my kids were growing up, I had the same anger, like even vending machines, that are geared towards kids, and even in the school, you just think like there's so much opportunity there to, as a school, to promote healthy food, put healthy foods in there. And you're exactly right. Those foods are eye level for kids. And I used to teach the girls hockey camp here, and then my son played hockey, so I also taught dryland and some nutrition with that. So we would take the girls from the hockey camp just over at Centennial, now Vikings Rental Center, to Safeway. That was at the time, and do a scavenger hunt and help them distinguish, what foods. So cereals with lots of sugar in them, and food dyes, all of the things, and then to help pick a healthy breakfast. So that was fantastic. So to help them change. So I think it's education to help the kids themselves understand, because they don't. And a lot of the parents don't. So that was a big thing too. Like they got handouts to go home with when I would go into school. So I would hear back from parents, like they had just had no idea. So the education part, that piece is huge. From a manufacturing standpoint, it would be really nice to see more people stand up for kids and, I think just the health of it rather than the money part of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what the whole solution is because, money makes the world go round. So, that's a big piece.
It is interesting. I mean, I've always, I did do what we would have called home economics in school, which we do study a portion is of nutrition, based on what is put together as the plate, know. And then I went into hotel school as my first career, so I worked in a lot of kitchens as well. So although I haven't taken nutrition certifications, like I've always had a passion for, healthy eating, food, and that type of thing. And I remember actually when my real journey started to healthy eating was actually when my oldest son, I think it was in grade 1, and I had bought, because busy mom, I had a younger son. I was, both my husband and I worked as well, building careers. And I had picked up some pre-sliced apples in a bag. And I thought, oh my gosh, this, time saver, right? I don't have to cut the apples in the morning. This is going to be great. I'm giving him some nice fresh fruit. And then I found the bag of apples a week later, and they were still perfectly preserved. And I was like, what is that? Like, that's not an apple. Like, and it really drew my attention to like what is being sprayed on that food, right? Because that's the unhealthy part, right? And nobody's telling you that. That's I think where my anger built is it's like there should be warning signs, or just, something out there, because there's this huge trust. And I think maybe changing direction, but I was talking to somebody else that with this generation of 45 to 6-year-olds that trust no one, that don't trust corporations, we don't trust governments. And I'm like, well, look at what you've done. And now you're questioning why we don't trust people, right? Because it's not, obviously we're not going to trust you. Like my trust was completely broken the more I looked into, things and started looking at food and options and healthy choices. And, I'll pick on Skittles because they had such a huge impact. My kid loves Skittles. I mean, and it was a once every couple of weeks treat. It wasn't something that he got every day. But I noticed how it could impact his mood and anxiety.
I was just going to ask you that,
And so then, and when I started reading up and doing all these different things and following various physicians, I was like, get rid of the Skittles. And as soon as I got rid of the Skittles and the high-def food and those cereals and all of that, it was like overnight, right? It was almost miraculous. There was no medication needed. There was it was just, my child is back.
Yeah,
right?
It makes a big impact, right?
And I think that's the thing is we don't know. And then fast forward now, I'm, at that stage that a woman goes through. And I look back on all the maybe questionable advice I was given and all the questionable things that I did and how that impacts me and my body now. And going back to, I think it mentioned something about metabolic and stuff. And I don't think, I think there's still a lot of research being done, but I don't think there's a lot that's understood of how the choices we made or the advice given to us in our 20s is affecting us now, 30 years later. Yeah.
And we seem to go through a cycle of, it's about every 30 years, maybe less, but there's, low fat, low carb, like it all changes, right? And you think any way that you eat, if it omits a food group, may not be good for you. And all ways that we can eat, and again, coming back to women's weight loss, which is just, so prevalent for so many women, especially now as we're aging, any nutrition program that you can go on, any diet can, it's a calorie restriction, so you can lose weight, but is it healthy, overall healthy, right?
That's the thing. And
I think you had mentioned dairy, right? Like that doesn't work for you. So, and it doesn't need to, right? It might be dairy, it might be soy, it might be gluten. Everyone has different sensitivities or beliefs or values. But how do you then replace the protein, for example, or the calcium and finding that in other foods? And the same for your kids, right? How do you find that whole balanced food diet? And part of it is removing those things like the sugary cereals or the box little gummy candies that you think you're getting real fruit in, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and it's always interesting to me when we go to our grocery shopping now, my family, I think, shops at the vegetable aisle and this aisle, right? There's nothing in between that we even walk down, right?
Yeah, the outside. Yeah.
And it always kills me when I see healthy food aisle, and I'm like, if this is your healthy food aisle, what are you selling around it?
Right.
I'm like, it's like, but people don't question it. That's the whole thing. Like I've mentioned it to a couple of my friends, and they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, well, you got to think about, things like that. Whatever you're putting in is having an impact on everything, right? So, yeah.
And the nutrient deficiency that comes with that, I think people don't understand that, or they underestimate the value of the nutrients that come with the fruits and the vegetables and the protein, all of the macronutrients to help your hormones be balanced, and your moods and your sleep. It affects everything. I think, nutrition is number one. Like, yes, we need exercise and we need the sleep and we need the stress management, but nutrition, if you don't have nutrition anchoring all of that, like, it's like you're spinning your wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually recently, it was a Netflix documentary on some researchers out of Europe studying microbiome, where they actually studied microbiome from different locations around the world.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
And it was very interesting to see, like, it was North America. I don't believe they had anybody in Canada, but they did, target this group in the US, and how they had very little different, microbiome. I think that's the word, versus somebody who's, out of Peru, right? So they have very healthy, like a lot of different microbiome, which obviously impacts how everything is working inside. And that gets broken down, with the different foods, like when you're only eating certain foods. And then, of course, there's antibiotics and that type of thing. But I thought it was kind of fascinating how we don't know these things. And then obviously that they went through how to replace it for those people. But then the limitation came in that those specific, it was women that they had done some research on, couldn't afford all the whole fresh food that they were recommending, because they would, recommended to blend it up into a smoothie to replace. So number one, yes, it was healthy and nutritious, but it was also replacing the microbiome. So
right. Yeah, you need a large diversity of it. And as we enter midlife, we have less and less of it. So
yeah.
It's interesting to think, I never know if I'm saying it right, but you have the bacteroidetes and the firmicutes. That's how I call it. That's how I think of it. But, you want to be feeding the diverse, good bacteria versus the bad bacteria. So it's getting that wide variety of colorful fruits and vegetables. It's just so important. It doesn't mean that you have to do it every single day or every single week, but if you look at even a week-long period, how many colors can you get in there, and think about you're feeding that good bacteria, which is then in turn helping your intestines not have the breaks in it, so that you end up with, some of those tiny little food particles floating around in your system, and then you don't feel well, right?
Yeah.
So it helps the health of your intestines and your whole digestive system. And as we age, we need to, populate that bacteria as best we can.
And is that part of, you'd mentioned you work now with somebody out of Germany for metabolic. Is that something that they target as well, or what is that program?
Yeah, they do. So that program is based on blood work. So they take blood work, or I would give a requisition form, or we send people in Calgary. We're very lucky here. We have a group of nurse practitioners, so we can get blood work done through them, and they can also help with any other things that just diet alone can't. Sometimes people need further investigation with gut issues. But yeah, so blood values are done. And so Dr. Funfack himself realized that the nutritional content from food can help to overcome so many of the issues that we have in our bodies. So they hired a group of food scientists, and his wife was a naturopathic doctor. So they have a wide variety of team that works together there. So when we send the blood work into Germany, they match your nutrient deficiencies or inflammatory markers or hormone imbalances to the foods that help build that back up again. So each plan is different that way. And you spend a couple of days doing a intestinal cleanse first to get all of the whatever junk that might be sitting in there out. And then you spend 2 solid weeks in like more of a strict plan. So based on that blood work, you get it's like 3 ideas of meals. So breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then you have a big list of food that you can plug in there. So it's not so strict that, you can only eat this food 3 times a week sort of thing. So there's a wide variety there, but those foods that are chosen for you are specific to what your deficiencies are. So help to build you back up. And then after that, you get a sort of a bigger list of foods that, it's not restrictive at all. You just want to make sure it's healthy, whole foods. So it's all stuff that you get at the grocery store versus, so many things out there are now shakes and bars and things like that. So it's all whole foods based.
And so, like, is there a large cost associated with
Yeah, it is $13.99. So that it does feel like a large cost, like it's kind of sticker shock at first. But I am a member of the Canadian Association of Natural Nutrition Practitioners. So if you have nutrition in your insurance plan, we can put that in as part of covering your cost.
Okay.
So that helps.
Yeah.
And then I like to help people see the value of it. So yes, it is a high price, but it's a 6-month program. So in that program, you're going to get that meal plan. And again, it's very custom to you. It's not like just here's a meal plan to follow. I know that doesn't work. And so, when I tried to do that before, people would follow that for 2 weeks and be like, it feels restrictive and almost like there's no autonomy to it. You want to have where, you feel like I'm choosing what I want to eat.
Yeah.
And then I teach a 12-week course throughout that as well. So I have the list. Do you want me to show you the list of the topics?
If you feel like it, sure. Yeah.
I think it's important just to, and I always bring this out because I'm gonna forget. But the topics I feel like are important because, again, looking at ourselves as a whole, and I think it's what you eat and what you drink, what how you think, how you move, all of those all come into play. And so what I like to tell people too is it's not losing weight to become healthy. It's actually becoming healthy to lose weight. I'm going to keep coming back to weight with this because that just seems to be the driver, even though we all want to be healthy. Like that's the main, focus of it. But weight loss is just such a big driver for so many women. Okay, so we do prep week, so a week of setting up for success. Then we talk about fats, sugars, and people will say, well, I don't eat that badly. But if you look at, let's say, if you took a person's breakfast, and like we were talking about earlier, so a lot of people have cereal for breakfast. So you look at the nutritional deficiencies that are in that. So you're not really getting much in the way of any kind of buildup in the start of your day. Plus you're spiking your blood sugar up. So you're already starting your day off thinking like, I'm going to go like this, right? And then maybe for a snack, some people might have cookies. Other people might choose an apple. Then lunch, you might just choose a turkey sandwich with mayo, lettuce, like thinking, okay, this is healthy. And then you might have cookies on the side. And again, a lot of people are having coffee throughout their day. Then, 3 or 4 o'clock hits and you're hitting the vending machine, right?
Yeah.
And then dinner time, you think, okay, I'm going to have a salad and I'm going to have chicken. And you think, okay, I'm going to have a healthy meal. And then maybe you're going to have a little bit of ice cream after. So, in that, because of the carbohydrate content and their lack of education with a balanced meal, again, the blood sugar is going like this all day long. So you're finding yourself hungry every 2 to 3 hours and craving things, whereas metabolic balance will be 3 solid meals a day in balanced macronutrient content. So proteins, carbs, fats, vegetables. So you have the 2 kinds of carbs, the starchy carbs and the vegetable carbohydrates.
Yeah.
So it's setting you up for solid, balanced blood sugar through the day like this, rather than this up and down and up and down, right? So we go into the fats and sugar contents of things. So I like to do a demonstration of different pops and Slurpees and things like that, and actually pouring the sugar into the cups to give a visual of what that actually looks like if you were just to eat the teaspoons of sugar, right?
Yeah.
And the unhealthy fats. Then we go into digestion and behaviors. So there's mindset work sprinkled throughout this as well. So digestion, like how your digestion actually works, how your food moves through your body, and what, like if you're gluten sensitive, for instance, how it's like if your intestinal wall was a bunch of bricks, how it can move the bricks apart, and sort of like we referenced earlier, like little food particles go into your bloodstream, and behaviors around food behaviors. Then we go into the calorie fallacy, so why it's not just calories in, calories out. Stress hormones and time management skills, sex hormones, detoxification processes, and habit-forming exercises. Gut bacteria and how the metabolic plan helps you achieve optimal pre- and probiotics from the food that you're eating. Emotion, so that's a big week. And I think most people that come through the program find that they're actually feeling like, okay, I can do this program, but I had a bad week, or, they had a bad day, or someone said something to them. So we go through strategies to manage things, like any kind of emotional things, that the roller coaster that it can be sometimes. Thyroid function, insulin and insulin resistance, exercise, sleep, and hydration, then going from exhausted to energized. And then I put a menopause module in there just in the last 6 months as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that is a 12-week program. So that's part of the upfront
So the
fee.
Yeah, the plan is 6 months, but there's a 12-week sort of course to go through in there. So module by module. Yeah.
Okay. And you do that the first 12 weeks or over the 6 months?
I let people decide on their own. So some people want the freedom to start it at 3 months in when they feel like they've got the nutrition down.
Okay.
But they will get a module each week. It's just kind of up to them on when they do it. So it's the freedom to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really exciting, right? That you can make those changes and stuff. I know that this is not sort of physician's advice. This is just a friendly conversation, between two people. But my thought actually goes to, because there's a lot of the on the news about Ozempic and all of that type of thing, the GLP-1 drugs. And I was just wondering if this is, just a healthier way. If people are spending a fortune on that drug, from what I understand.
Yeah.
To, they could invest it in something like this, that is maybe having those positive effects. I mean, it could be two different things, but I'm just thinking out loud.
So I feel like, they're talking about being overweight or obesity now as a disease. So for sure, medications for some people are warranted. I do know some people that would, turn to something like that just because they want to lose 10 pounds. And they're not necessarily sort of on a doctor's radar to prescribe that to. But I mean, it's a tool, right? It's another tool in the toolbox. But I feel that people that are using the GLP-1s are so the right person to do this program, because then you're learning how to eat along with it. Because those are obviously, any weight loss program, you're going to start losing weight, but you're also at risk for nutrient deficiencies. I can relate that back to when I was 40, I did a fitness competition. So we were eating, a specific plan every single day for 12 weeks. And I had such an amazing coach at that time that gave us a list of supplements to take as well, because he knew as soon as you're in a calorie deficit or restriction, which if you're on those GLP-1s, you are going to be eating less. And you're also not necessarily learning how to eat properly. So you may still be eating junkier foods. So now you're more at risk. So that fitness competition showed me that, especially when you're in some kind of calorie restrictive diet, you still need to make sure you're getting all the nutrients, or you're not going to feel well. You're not going to have the energy to do the workouts to get ready for all those things. So so I think it's a tool in the toolbox, but I think those people especially could benefit from learning how to eat properly and making sure the nutrients are covered.
I think that's actually a valid point, right? With it, like, you're not necessarily learning the mind, right? Because you have to learn the triggers of why a person's eating. We all know, like, emotional eating and various studies on
how
that.
you grew up, right?
How you grew up. And some people say it's like your drug, right? Because it's legal, it's always available, all of those type of things.
It can be soothing for people, right?
It can be very soothing, and it's very social as well, right? Like, oh, I'm happy today, let's go out for dinner. Oh, I'm sad today, let's buy some chocolate, right? It's that all those things come into it. And if you've been doing that since childhood, it's very hard, I think, to break those habits. So that number one. And then learning, like we were just talking about, how do you learn what's healthy for you, right? When you think you're buying something healthy, but it's not actually healthy, right? So how do you learn that? And I think it sounds like an amazing program.
And I feel for people, because how do you know unless you've been taught, right?
Yeah.
Like when you go into a grocery store, like you've done research and like you, even for your kids, right? Like how do you know what you should be eating or how much of that you should be eating?
Exactly.
How do you feel? Like how do you feel as a mom? Like when you go in, do you feel equipped to make those choices?
It's actually funny because my husband needs glasses for reading.
Yeah.
And we'll go into a grocery store and we've learned now you read every label. And we taught that from the kids, actually. As I started going through this journey with my oldest from grade 1, we started reading thing. And I always said to him, if you can't pronounce the words and you don't know what it is, we can't buy it because it means it's not actually real food, right? It means it's a chemical concoction of what you're eating. So we've kind of like set the bar, that's it. And so then, and we have chosen to eliminate certain products, from our diet, just due to animal cruelty and that type of thing. So we are always reading labels, and we'll go into a grocery store together and he'll pick something up and he'll be like, read this. I'm like, bring your glasses.
Right.
Like, you got to help me read everything. But and everybody reads everything. Like I said, even the 15-year-old will read. And so to know what's, so that everybody knows what they're eating. So if they do make an unhealthy choice, that at least they know that they are making an unhealthy choice with that. But it came from years. And then going back to YouTube, I did YouTube a lot of things, and it took me a while to find my favorite sources. Yeah. And I'll, mention, Dr. Greger from Nutritional Facts. So he has spent his life looking and reading research and then making it easy for the listener to understand what the actual research paper is breaking down. And I remember, that right at the beginning, I listened to something and he said, because big food, let's go back to the big players in, the industry are going to fight back, right? If they're losing money, they will create fear and just enough confusion in the consumer to let them keep going the way they are so that they don't make any of those healthy changes. But I think I don't want to use exactly what it was, but he said, this specific product was being marketed as healthy, and that's what everybody focused on. But this next sentence said, when being compared to XYZ, right, which was like, like one of the unhealthiest things you could eat. So people are hearing this, it's healthy, but they're not hearing when it's compared to, right? So, and that, I think, is the problem. Like, it's so deceitful out there. And that's where the whole thing about corporations and this distrust comes in, because we can't trust almost anything. Who do you trust, and who is the correct doctor, to listen to, and all of that. So
it's confusion, right? And I always think about, I did this leadership certification years ago, and Robin Sharma, it was he's a leadership guru, if you want to term it like that, but he would say, picture a bunch of business men, at the time more men than women, but you could do men and women, sitting around a big boardroom table thinking, how can I make this package colorful? How can I make it, sound healthy? And how can we sell as much of this as possible? And that's, that again, that's the money driver, and it's consumerism for us too, of thinking like, or for your kids, like you think, I think it's confusing because you think it's normalized. So you walk into a grocery store and think, well, everybody's buying it. It must be okay. Yeah. But it's not necessarily. Like, it's up to us as individuals, even with our health, like, to be our own advocates. Yeah. And especially for our children, to teach them from a young age that to look past that, like, and to look at it like there is a lot of money to be made in those industries, and but what's actually the best for us, what's the best for our health.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, not normalizing it or denormalizing it. Even like
Exactly.
the fast food restaurants and things, right? Like you think it's just so easy and convenient, and
Yeah.
that's what is being targeted to us.
Yeah.
So it is like, I don't like to use the word fight so much, but it really is. It is a fight as a mom, especially, to make those healthy choices and set that good example for your children.
Yeah.
And they do, like, I know you probably do know as well now, that all the work you do when your children are young, they're fighting against you too. Sometimes the struggle is there. They want to fit in with their friends and eat what their friends are eating. And I saw that going into schools too, what's in those lunch boxes. It's shocking sometimes. And parents are busy and stressed and, just trying to keep it all together. And they're just putting stuff in there that they know their kids are actually going to eat.
Yes.
Versus, like, it's hard at first. This is a Robin Sharma quote: hard at first, messy in the middle, and just gorgeous in the end. It is hard at first to make that change. Then it can get messy. Like the messy middle is where, let's say as a family, you decide, okay, as a family, we're going to get healthier. We're going to try this all together, and you get your kids to buy in. So a week or two goes by, and it's been hard, but you still got that initial motivation, just like for anything new.
Yeah.
Then it gets messy because, you want to pull back and go back into things that are familiar and easy. But if you can get through that messy middle, then you get to the end. And that's where we're at now. Like, I see what my kids will do intrinsically. It's not hard. Like, they just want to be healthy. They see through, they read the labels because of the Dr. Sears stoplight eating.
Yeah.
They look at the labels. They're looking at how much protein is in, like, everything's protein right now.
Yeah.
How much protein is in this. They want to get their fruits and vegetables in. They know healthy fats. Like, there's so much education. Plus our kids are all on TikTok, I think. So they're seeing unhealthy seed oils. So they're looking at labels, which is really inspiring. It could be all through childhood, but when you get to the end, you've inspired them and they've got those values, and you see them making the healthy choices, and that's everything, right?
I think actually that is beautiful. That is everything, right? Because you want to be a good mom, and you want to, like, have your own health, but you also want to teach your children, right? So that they don't, like myself, have that anger, right? They just know that this is it, and they make the good choices moving.
Yeah, absolutely. And you think it's not even just, again, when it come back to weight, it's and for kids, sometimes it's a weight issue, sometimes it isn't, but it's the healthy hormones, that you're developing through their developmental years. Their feel good, like you said with the Skittles, like you want them to feel good and learn properly, right? And it's the same for us. It's no different for us.
Yeah.
You think even we're over caffeinating, or we're trying to get our bodies stimulated and ready for the day with too much caffeine often. And then we're going home and we're drinking wine, and sort of trying to calm down off of it all. So it's all full circle, and it's just different with each age group.
Yeah.
What it might be. And then again, you come into perimenopause and menopause for women, and men are lucky. They've got this more slow decline, and we're just like this.
Yeah.
So tackling that issue as well, and things change, and what worked before doesn't necessarily work anymore. No. So you figure it out, Yeah.
And I think that's actually a lovely way to end off the episode from today, is just, is on that note. And I'll just do a quick shout out that if you're enjoying the content, please like and subscribe to the channel. And thank you so much for joining me in studio today. We had such a lovely conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit more about hearing.
There we go.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.